Election, Mr. John Dadian, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
What do you think about those polls, and what do you think about the polls in general that are being released this weekend?
They're flipping, flopping all over the map, and again, we're down to about 10 days, and that's what's going to happen, without a doubt. You know, you see different strategies that the campaigns use and whether or not to actually get out there. And of course, one of your big stories for today, the storm on the East Coast, keep in mind, not only is that affecting the presidential, but it's affecting it because most of these states on the East Coast have early voting. So the voting is going on now. So you wonder, is that stopping from people from going, dropping off the ballots, or even writing? It's a strange mix. A lot of political consultants are in a quandary about what to make of all of these factors.
Something that we talked about this week, and you talked about it briefly with Mark and Heather, the possibility of an electoral tie. Now, some people might say, no way, no how, never going to happen. You say there's a very good chance it could happen.
I'm going to go on the record saying a very strong chance.
Okay.
Very, very strong chance. There are more than 40 possibilities of different mixes that you could do that it could be a 269 tie. 270 wins. 269, 269 is very possible, but there's 5 strong possibilities. For example, everybody's saying Ohio's a battleground state, which it is without a doubt, but one of the biggest misnomers is they say Romney has to win that to get 270. First of all, that's not true. But if President Obama wins Ohio, for example, if Romney wins Iowa and Nevada, possibility of a tie right there. So there's many combinations. I think and then again, people say a constitutional crisis. I don't know if it'll be a constitutional crisis because I think the system will work and there's things in place that trigger what happens.
Let's talk about those things. Now, if what you say is coming true, each state gets one single vote for president. Right now, that would probably go to Mitt Romney because he leads in about 29 states to the president's smaller number. And then it goes to the Senate to decide who they would elect, who the vice president would be, which would make for a very interesting setup. We've never seen this before.
Romney Biden for the next 4 years. Jeff, you're absolutely correct the way you describe it, but keep in mind, even before that, if on election night, and you folks will have a long night on election night, even if it looks like it's 269 to 269, keep in mind, not all states, some, but not all states mandate that their electors have to vote that way. So in December is when the Electoral College meets per state in their state capital. What if somebody changes their vote, or several people? That throws a whole other mix into it.
That is interesting.
I got 2 questions for you. Number one, battleground states are so important. Why is Paul Ryan not in the battleground states? He is doing the southern swing. He hasn't been in any battleground states this week. And secondly, Mitt Romney's kind of taken more of a position of standing back. He said he's going to give no interviews for 2 weeks, and he hasn't. Mr. Obama's been on every talk show imaginable. Which strategy do you think is the better strategy?
Well, we'll go on election night. I mean,
I'm asking you.
No, that's absolutely.
What do you think?
No, that's absolutely.
Why these changes?
You're absolutely correct. That's where strategy comes in. And both campaigns have some of the top consultants in the country, without a doubt. And all kidding aside, on election night, you decide who made the mistake and who did things right. You mentioned the vice president on the Republican ticket. For example, I know he's in some southern states now, but when he canceled last week appearing in San Diego for a fundraiser, he did that to go to Colorado. So to me, that told me their strategy was more to go for the swing states than the fundraising.
All right. Well, this is the last week. What do you think we're going to see? Do you think? I feel like now that the debates are over, there's not so much a personal attack on either one anymore. It's really policies, and for Mitt Romney too, part of his strategy might be because he believes a lot of his absentee voters have already voted, right? I mean, he's talked about that a lot.
And again, that's a big question, which again I get back to, how is this storm? Because it's affecting many of those big electoral states on the East Coast and going inland a little bit. So how is that affecting it? Last point on the Electoral College, most states, it's a winner-take-all system, but not all states. So literally, if it looks like it's coming down to 269 versus 270, one congressional district in several states could change things.
Wow, could you imagine? I mean, our night in the newsroom is going to be late anyways, but man, oh man.
It reminds me of, oh my gosh, I'm going in the Wayback Machine right now, but Bush, Gore.
That's not that way back.
Okay, well...
Actually, I don't think it's... To me, it seems like yesterday.
Okay, but it went so late, and of course, it went to the Supreme Court, but we were down at Golden Hall, I think, till 1:30 in the morning, on the air, going back and forth.
And you gotta
remember what Bush gave his acceptance, Gore gave his. I mean, it was incredible the drama that was going on that
But
night.
we've got a very close presidential election. We've got a very close mayoral race too. So I think that San Diego is going to be in for a long night on Tuesday.
I think 2000 is a good example to use as far as a possible electoral tie, because keep in mind, when it came down to just Florida,
Right.
it was 500 votes.
Yeah.
537.
All right.
Oh, yeah. 537
I've
precisely.
heard that. I've heard that all week. I mean, it was 537.
I use round numbers.
537.
I'm a consultant. I use round numbers.
Well, it's a good point in that every vote counts, right? I mean, and that's what really the candidates are saying: vote early and vote, vote, vote.
And as I
that's
said,
the key.
some states do it proportionally. So if one congressional district changes the entire presidential race.
It's going to be interesting. All right, John, thank you so much. We'll see you again next weekend
Very
before the big day.
The last
You'll be
one.
here on election night.
He will, yeah.
Very
We're
good.
looking forward to
All
that.
right. Thank you, John.
Thanks,
Always
John.
good to see you. All right.